Hello everybody, welcome back to the Spoked Wheel YouTube channel. We are back today with episode 6 of the Andy Schleck Pro Cyclist mode playthrough. It's been a little while. Last time out we had some decent results, got our first two top 10s in a couple different races that I didn't really think we would do too well in, so that was a pleasant surprise. I think our career's trending in a good direction right now. We were able to upgrade our attributes and get our mountain stat up to 76, which is very solid for this point in our career, I think. And today we have some business to take care of because we've received our first contract email of the playthrough. So if you don't know how the contract negotiation works in Pro Cycling Manager, basically you get this email around this time on the 1st of April, and then you can go into this page and there's a bunch of different teams that have varying levels of interest in you. You can sort by interest. So obviously the team that's most interested in us right now is the team that we're currently riding for. You can see a couple different other teams from various countries are also interested. Right here we've got the division, so the team that we're currently in, the team that we're currently riding for is a continental team. All these teams are also continental teams, so ideally we want to move up to the next level, which would be pro continental next season. Right now we don't have any pro continental teams interested in us, so it's our job as the season progresses to get better results and get teams interested in us. And then we can see here we have one remaining contact of interest point. Basically, these are points that we can use in these teams to increase their interest and make a team that has this amount of interest in us just bump it up a little bit. So right now we only have one. As the playthrough goes on, we'll get more of these and we'll hold more negotiating power as we progress. But for now, I'm going to invest my 1 point in W52 FC Porto. It's a Portuguese team. Based on past careers that I've done, it seems like they're the most likely continental team to actually make the jump and move on up to Pro Continental. So that's why I invested in them. If we can't get an offer from a Pro Continental team, then the smart thing to do is to try and sign for a Continental team that has a chance of being promoted to a higher level for the next season. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I think I have to simulate ahead to confirm it, but that's my thought for now. In terms of like what team I want to end up on in the long run, I'm not too picky, I wouldn't say. Andy Schleck, for most of his career, rode for what is, I guess, now Trek. So that's obviously an option to try and end up with them, but I don't think I'm particularly tied to any one team. So we'll just kind of go through and see who's interested and play it by ear, I guess, as we get further along. So I'm now going to simulate ahead so that we can confirm the contact of interest point. Okay, so we're 1 day ahead. We've got our email from our agent asking us to just confirm, and we are going to accept and have him or her work on getting us a contract with W52. So that's the contract stuff taken care of. That will come up every month until the free agent period is open. I think it's either August or September that we'll start getting offers. So that's that for now. In terms of racing, we got two races on the calendar today that I want to get through. The Volta Limburg Classic, another race in the Netherlands, and La Rue Torangel, another French race with a very long name. Both of these are pretty flat. Probably just going to be about getting through, working as a teammate, and getting as much XP as possible. But That will then set us up to get into the Circuit de Ardennes International next video, which, if you've been watching from the start, you know that according to Pro Cycling Stats, that is the first professional race Andy Schleck did in his career. So that's one that I've been looking forward to playing, just to kind of compare how we do with our Andy Schleck 2.0 to how the real Andy Schleck did in this race in his first professional season. So yeah, we'll do these 2 races today and then get into this stuff next time out. The season's starting to pick up a little bit in terms of races that are actually suited to us. A couple hilly stages in this race. This is really the first one that is a race for pure climbers. And I believe that's actually our second objective of the season. So if all goes according to plan, we will reach our fitness peak at that point, and be able to have a really good performance in that race and maybe even try and win it. That would be excellent to get our first win of the season here in our second objective. And then looking even further ahead, we've got a couple more races that fit that profile as well before the season ends. Tour de l'Avenir, of course, and then these 2 races as well in Turkey have a decent amount of climbing. So we got some races coming up that I think we could quite possibly compete for the win in. It's about time to start trying to get some victories to make sure that teams who might want to offer us a contract are interested. So without further ado, let's get right into today's racing. Okay, so we're into the Volta Limburg Classic, and we are indeed being asked to play the role of a teammate, so we are going to go ahead and do that. We have a pretty nice +1 race day condition today, some nice +2s on our attributes, but yeah, this is not really a race that we're going to win, so gonna ride on the front for 30 kilometers like they asked, try and do a little bit more to get the exceptional evaluation, and then we will regroup and ride out the remainder of the race, just kind of hanging out in the pack, I guess. Okay, so as you can see, we have successfully ridden out the front for 40 kilometers, so that should be plenty to get us the exceptional evaluation. It was pretty easy to accomplish in this race. I was just able to pace that 65 effort the whole time, and no one felt the need to set a higher tempo than that, so nice and easy, job done. Mission success, I would say, for our first race. We now just get to sit in the pack and wait for the finish. We are inside of 15 kilometers to go. We got Daniel Oss trying to make a break for it, being chased down by Alpecin Phoenix. Of course, Mathieu van der Poel's team. I don't believe Mathieu van der Poel is at this race. Probably going to just come down to a sprint finish in which I have no chance to win. Niels Eckhoff, I believe he was one of the pre-race favorites. He's a exciting young prospect. But Nicky Terpstra throwing a late attack, because that's what Nicky Terpstra does. And I'm not sure there's too many people left in the peloton to chase it down. CCC going after it. There are some pretty decent teams in this race. You see Trek and De Kooning, Bora are all here. Sunweb. Five kilometers to go, so I'll use my energy gel. And I guess try and follow this. Even though it's not necessarily a race that suits me, like, might as well try and get a couple decent results here and there, just to boost, I guess, my case for teams being interested in me. might get a top 20 from this one. Jasper de Boost wins it for Lotto Soudal ahead of Eckhoff and Xandro Morese. Sepp Kuss 11th. Nice result from him. And we get 18th. Yeah, so a top 20. We got the replay. Let's see how our other teammates did. Our second best teammate after us was 42nd, so it's kind of becoming pretty apparent that we are by far the strongest rider on our team at this point, even in races like this that don't really suit us. So I guess that just adds to the incentive of wanting to try and move up and get on a better team for next season. But there we go. We got our 10 points from riding at the front of the group. We will take that and then go into our second race for the day. Okay, we're into our second race of the day in France, and basically our team wants us to do the exact same thing, which is riding at the head of the group for 30 kilometers, playing the role of teammate once again. So basically our game plan is going to be pretty much the exact same as it was in our first race. Try and do 40 kilometers at the front, and then basically just try and stick around towards the finish and try and get a good result. Alright, I've once again finished riding at the front of the peloton for 40 kilometers. Again, should be good enough to get that exceptional evaluation and 10 points, I guess. So now we're just going to jump ahead to the finish. It was nice and easy again. I could just ride at 65 effort. So no problem with doing the teammate roles this time around. Sometimes it's a little more difficult, but this time it was smooth sailing. So like I said, we're going to jump ahead to the finish, and let's see if we can't improve upon our 18th place finish from last time. We're inside of 15 kilometers to go again. As you can see from this little windsock, I think is the correct terminology. We've got a bit of a crosswind, although it's only 11 kilometers an hour, so it's not super damaging. We're able to stay sort of in our position okay at 85 effort. This finish is pretty flat, so I would expect the sprinters teams like B&B Hotels. Yes, I was going to say I would assume they're working for Brian Cocard, and there is Brian Cocard. They have pretty much their whole team up there ready for the lead out, so I would guess it's going to be a sprint finish. Jasper de Boost is here again. Let's see if we can get on someone's wheel here. There goes Magnus Court with a late attack. Again, there's a pretty decent collection of World Tour teams at this race. You got Israel Startup Nation, Lotto Soudal, NTT, De Koonik again. EF, of course. Forgot to use my energy gel, but I'm running out of energy anyways. It is very clear that Andy Schleck is not a sprinter. For his many talents, this is not his area of expertise. And it's gonna be Brian Cocard. So the B&B train that they had there at the front paid off with a win for Brian Cocard. And we will grab a nice 12th place for Andy Schleck today, so we were indeed able to improve upon the 18th place finish. I don't actually know, like, I don't know if finishing 12th in a race like this does anything for teams that are potentially interested. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. I think you'll see, hopefully you'll see this as the playthrough goes along, but like if you finish in the top 3 or the top 5 or things like that, you sometimes get an email where it says your podium place at this race increased the interest from the teams. So I think you have to do a little bit better than just finishing between 10th and 20th, but hey, I think it's worth trying anyways, because you never know when you might get a result like that. Yeah, so another 10 points. We're making our way up towards level 5. I'm happy with that progress. And that's it for racing for the day. Okay, so we're going to finish up the video today by looking ahead to the circuit, the Ardennes International. Like I said at the start, it's a race that we can actually compare what Andy Schleck did in his first pro season against what our version of Andy Schleck is doing in his first pro season. So at the time, Andy participated in this race between April 8th and April 11th in 2004. At the time, he was riding for Roubaix-Lille Metropole, which I believe still exists. Probably not the exact same name, but is a team in this game that French continental team that you can sometimes start out with in a pro cyclist career playthrough. So at that point, the race was 5 stages long, and it included an individual time trial. Our version of this race is only 4 stages long without the time trial, so we're just going to have to compare the road stages, I guess. In stage 1, he finished 7th, and obviously the stages aren't exactly the same, but I would assume that the sort of overall profile of the race is a kind of hilly race fitting for the Ardennes region, would stay the same. So he finished 7th on stage 1. Stage 2, he finished 9th. Here's our stage 2. Stage 3, he finished 23rd. Our stage 3 is only 79 kilometers long, so it's a kind of an interesting short one. Stage 4 was then the ITT, in which he finished 33rd. And the final road stage, he finished 4th in. And when that was all said and done, that was good enough to give him 7th overall in the general classification and 8th in the points classification. So I feel like depending on what teams are in this race, that's a performance that we could roughly replicate. I would probably expect that our opportunity to get a better result would come in one of the first 2 stages rather than this finishing stage. That looks like much more of a sprinter's stage. But yeah, I'm excited for this race. I think it'll be a good one. Depending on what teams are here, the opportunity to pivot and try and get the KOM jersey again is there. So we will see next time out whether it makes sense to do that or try and ride for the GC and try and get a top 10 in that. Yeah, I'll be back soon to play through this race. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you want to. And also, as always, if you have any feedback or any suggestions for future videos, whether it's an idea or something that I could do better, feel free to let me know down in the comment section. Yeah, thanks again for watching. I will see you next time.